MangaKamen here, and no, you're not experiencing anything wrong with the video. I'm keeping it black on purpose for a moment. Now, let me start by saying that I was mulling on this topic for quite a while. Didn't help that I was taking finals at the same time. Yes, MatPat. At this point, it's a joke and a meme on my channel, and I'll rise up to the challenge to debunk any of his theories. I've gotten people telling me that I'm beating a dead horse, that I shouldn't do this, and that MatPat won't change at this point. Well, to that I say, you're absolutely right. That being said, while some projects are in the works to diversify my content, I am under the belief that if something comes up and I can add to the conversation, I will do it. In addition, I actually enjoy debunking MatPat and other theories when I can. It's like a game of darts for me at this point. It's just a way to enjoy myself as I practice deductive skills, researching, and practicing my editing skills so I can make much more enjoyable content for you all. Yeah, it's not perfect, but I try. You can disagree all you like, and that's fine. I'm just giving you my thoughts on that. That being said, today's video is a little bit different. For a while, I was on the fence about doing this video and making it, but since then I've had quite a number of people asking me to give my thoughts on this, so I decided to give my initial reaction on Twitter a few weeks back. And this is something that I have to say now. 140 or so characters is not adequate enough to say what I want to say. I say this because when I point out a specific quote in this 4 minutes of MatPat's first video, and gave my thoughts on that and that alone, someone took that to mean I was applying that to the entirety of his 4-minute speech. And they opened up by blatantly insulting me, and then decided to debunk me, even though they were making their own assumption on my opinion on the matter. I won't name that person because I have some respect for them, and I do not wish for people to go after them. I had hoped they'd have some form of respect for me and give me some common courtesy since we do have Skype contacts with each other, and they could have easily asked me about this, but apparently not so. Yes, I am a little bit salty on it, but who cares? But in order to not have a repeat on that, let me say this. I agree with what MatPat says on his points about people making assumptions with his giving Undertale to the Pope video. It was kind of stupid that people made the assumption about what he was talking about when there were clear evidence against that. Heck, I did make a short video where, yes, I did make fun of MatPat for thinking that his theory on Sans and Ness had strong evidence, but in that same video, I applauded MatPat for going with a gift that was given to the Pope. Is it practical? Hell no! But it's a symbolic gift, something that I understood quickly. That being said, I still do have issues with his video, at least not with the theory, but rather with the 4-minute detour that he takes at the beginning of said video. Now, while I'm not above making jokes in this matter, this video will be slightly different, as I already said. You can expect some humor, but I need to be serious here so people don't twist my words into something I'm not saying. With that out of the way, let's begin.
I gotta be honest with you, I'm scared of this game. So before we begin today's episode, I need to take a moment to level with you all, because it's time I pull back the curtain of the show a bit and address a couple things. Now don't get me wrong, I love this game. I really do, but doing episodes on Undertale have been some of the worst experiences that I've had in the 6 years of doing this show.
Going back to something I said on Twitter where I said I thought this was disingenuous, right off the bat I want to point this out. The background music. Now, you can probably consider this to be a nitpick, but I want to say this as it will play throughout the entire segment. There's nothing wrong with playing background music, mind you, but this sad piano music that you hear throughout the entire thing is giving me a bad vibe, and I get it. I get he's trying to be serious, but as I said on Twitter, I got the feeling that this was going to be used for something more. And this was one of the reasons why. The music sets the tone and doesn't help that it's a subconscious and emotional impact on the audience since it subtly makes you want to feel sympathetic. It's a tactic used in basic music theory and also presentations. Heck, this is how music works in movies too. But that's just a thought and consider it to be null and void, I guess, or whatever. Back to the vid.
The first was Sans and Ness, a theory I was so excited to share with you. In fact, it was one of, if not my favorite episode that we had done of game theory to date, because it allowed me an opportunity to talk about one of my favorite franchises growing up, Earthbound, as well as one of my favorite modern franchises of Undertale. And it was a fun episode. Now, don't get me wrong, did I in any way think that this was canon lore to the series? No. Of course not. I didn't think that Sans is actually Ness, but at the end of the day, these are theories meant to get you to think about things from a different perspective. And let's be honest here, there are a lot of similarities between Earthbound and Undertale, okay? From visual design to actual sound effects to even the timelines of the games.
Oh boy, there's a lot to unpack here. It's perfectly fine if you want to connect the two games, yes, MatPat. You're right that the games do have a lot of similarities. But what I take umbrage with is the fact that you're willing to ignore facts. You're willing to make up connections based on the looseness of items, and you're willing to jump to conclusions based on the previous 2 points. Now, that wouldn't be so bad if you're trying to make a more comedic video, as you have demonstrated in the past. Hello, Mario is communist. But even if you want to get people to think from a different perspective, from where I'm standing, you're making it out to be acceptable that people should just ignore facts and context just so it can fit a narrative that you want. And I know someone in the comments is going to be like, but it's only a game. That does not matter. MatPat is trying to get people to think this way, and it's a dangerous way of thinking that I've seen spreading across this website. I'm not saying the entire blame is on MatPat, far from it, but he's certainly not helping in the matter by spreading it. I'd also like to point out that this really reeks of it's just a theory defense. You're still defending the video you made, despite all the evidence that you brought to the table was shaky at best. Just because it's a theory, that doesn't mean it's exempt from criticism. In fact, considering that it is a theory, it should be criticized more. As someone who claims to be, man wanting to promote science and critical thinking, MatPat, you're severely lacking in the capacity to realize that a theory is meant to be tested and scrutinized. You bring up a hypothesis. You test it out to see if it's true, and your video wasn't. And I'm not done. You claimed to be a big fan of the 2 series at the time, but many people in my comments section of my video have pointed out to me you couldn't be bothered to get the Underground's name right, and continue to call it Underworld throughout the entire video. This is something that could have easily been fact-checked with a simple Google search. I'm just saying, for someone who claims to be a huge fan of these games, you got a lot of stuff that was vital to your theory wrong. Or at the very least came off with it as you didn't pay attention to the games. Snow cone me, boy!
But the overwhelming negativity and ridicule that video got was just crushing. It sucked, man.
Overwhelming negativity? What? Yes, it was a bad theory, but from where I can see the likes and dislikes on the video, you still managed to get an overwhelming amount of likes. And yes, people, I will show that I dislike the theory. It does not detract from my overall points. Let's consider the percentage of the dislikes here. MatPat has a total of 200,000 likes/dislikes as of scripting this video. Now if we take that number and divide by the number of dislikes, out of the total percentage, he got 9% of dislikes. And I'm rounding up that number to be generous. Now, I'm well aware someone will say, well, he's not talking about the likes or dislikes, he's talking about comments, videos, and Reddit posts. Well, if that were the case, then I can't find the hate on your video. Heck, because of this video, you've gotten nothing but support. Hell, people are starting to say that this was a good theory, and frankly, I'm in disagreement. And I'm not the only one who has issues with it and have proven you to be wrong. Well, here's the thing, if MatPat had gotten so much flack for this, then why does he not prove it? Show posts and people talking negatively about you, and you're asking people to take your word on the matter. That's not how evidence works. You can claim that I'm victim blaming here, but I'm asking for evidence of this hate. I'm asking for people to actually back up what they're saying. That's how claims work. And since MatPat's channel is based around that, it should be a no-brainer to do that. But he doesn't.
And don't get me wrong, I have gotten used to dealing with internet hate over the years. I've gotten through the Sonic is Slow controversy. I've had literal petitions written to remove me from the internet for slandering Mario's name by calling him a sociopath, but this one hurt.
And here's another big issue I have, and it goes back to the previous point I just made. MatPat, you're completely misinterpreting the petition that you just showed. I've read the petition. I've seen what it wants. I'll even link it in the description. That petition never asks you to be ousted from the internet. All it asks is for you to admit you're wrong on the Mario is mental theory. Yeah, the petition is stupid, but most internet petitions are. Hell, the Harambe Pokemon petition had more signatures than this petition that you showed on screen. If there was a petition to get MatPat off the internet, I haven't found it. Not that I'm the one who's supposed to be presenting your case, Matthew. If there's a petition that does exactly say that, why not present that? Instead, what you're doing here is more manipulation and misrepresenting something that anyone with a pause button and a chance to actually take more than 3 minutes to look online will be able to figure out what you're doing is wrong.
but it was nothing compared to the next time I talked about Undertale on the channel, when I was selected for the honor of meeting Pope Francis as one of the first 10 digital creators to introduce him to the world of online video. And as part of that, we were expected to give him a gift. So I gave him a copy of Undertale and then made a video talking about that. One, because it was such a huge honor for me, but two, because I was excited to share it with you. This was our achievement as a theorist community, as gamers, as online digital creators, and people who love online things. And the hate that video received in the first week. I mean, this was a video where I specifically talk about accepting others and saying no to hating other groups of people, and it got hate.
Once again, going to the like bar, oh look, nearly similar numbers to the previous video. And once again, Matt, you're claiming that you got hate, prove it. Now, I've already said that I agree that people who didn't bother to actually look at the conversation you had with the Pope are in the wrong. But this was something that you could have easily taken care of, MatPat. You could have put an annotation, a link, or heck, put a portion of your own speech into the video so that people could exactly see what you were talking about. Or even put a video in the week after discussing the misconceptions about your video. You allowed this to go on for half a year. If you really wanted this hate to be squashed, you could have easily put a stop to it, to the supposed hate you got. And I realized what he's talking about when he did talk to the Pope about it. And as already stated, this should be the third and final time I'll say this so people can get it in their heads. I agree that people should have done their research on this matter before jumping to conclusions. That sounds almost familiar.
Lastly, number 5. I was selected via an application that I submitted for this opportunity as a representative of America, as a representative of gamers, and of online digital creators. I know a lot of people were upset that I was selected, and I'm sorry if you don't like me. But as someone who tries to advocate for science, logic, and critical thought, I did my best to put a good foot forward for all 3 of those different categories.
Look, MatPat, you say that, but your content doesn't really reflect that. With the exception of your FNAF videos up until last week, most of your more recent videos have been ignoring points of evidence. You don't ignore evidence in critical thinking, especially when it's evidence that can debunk you. That's practically a fallacious thinking right there, where you're dodging issues that can wreck your theory instead of tackling them head on. I may have an issue with people claiming that they're the voice of others. I didn't like it with Angry Joe, and I held a lot more respect for him than MatPat, but I'm not the guy who chooses who gets to go to what event. So don't hold the fact that I may not agree with MatPat being a representative of gamers that he shouldn't have applied for the position. He has much right to do so, and frankly, I congratulate him on doing it. And I really can't say much more on that. I can complain about it, but that's basically it. And that's where I'm stopping. Time for my final thoughts. MatPat, I agree that you shouldn't have gotten hate for your videos. That being said, that doesn't mean you're exempt from criticism. And throughout this entire thing, you never once brought up a distinction between hating on you and actually challenging your theory in a reasonable manner. And unfortunately, some of your fans can't tell the difference. How do I know? Because I experience this every once in a while. Now don't take this to mean that I don't get things wrong or I forget points. I do. I try to at least explain myself, and I will admit when I'm wrong when I'm proven wrong. Look, whether or not you believe me, or you don't want to listen to me, that's fine. I'm just using my thoughts here, and I want to be honest. I do believe that MatPat shouldn't have gotten any hate for making any theory. It's a video that he made that he himself admitted that put a lot of effort and care into. Yes, I do think his theory is stupid. And with that, I hope you guys take the time to listen to what I say, and hopefully you can see my side on this. I'm MangaKamen, and have a nice day.